once determinations are made, to respond to these. How do we respond to these? I hope voluntarily. For example, credit card companies around the world now voluntarily close sites that are promoting illegal activity. There is no treaty, there are no laws. In their case, they get determinations on spam or crime from places like Spam House, and they react. They do their job. Now, in some cases, we need to enforce our contracts. And we should also not shy away from that. We have a responsibility as a community to do that. Finding that balance needs you. It's not for me and not for ICANN staff to make that decision. It's for us as a community. Businesses, registries, registrars, IP holders, those concerned with public safety, governments, all of us should work together. But it's not at ICANN, because ICANN's remit is not in determining what action to take. Our remit is to be responsible and respond voluntarily by inviting our community to do so, or when necessary through our contracts. But we have no legal authority to make those determinations. I wanted to underline that because I think as the transition moves on, there will be new pressures that we will feel as a community, and it's important to outline these early. Let me focus for a minute on my role in the transition, which is to implement what this community asks me to do. So at ICANN, we are getting ready for the transition. Well, how do we get ready? There is a series of activities we are already starting. These activities can be bundled into these three important areas. The first is starting to prepare for the root zone management system changes that need to occur if the transition is successful. So we're not doing anything that presumes the transition to be successful. We are simply planning and preparing, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But the activities and the planning activities are in these three areas. In terms of the root zone, the real focus there is to decide, based on your proposal, how are we going to implement the absence of the US government's role in the updates to the root zone. And that work already started at the planning and thinking stage, not in terms of actual execution, for obvious reasons. Also, the community has now designed this post-transition IANA model that includes some new and important processes that you can see here. New service level agreements with our operational communities that need to be implemented. All of that work is already starting. And finally, as the accountability teams wrap up their proposal, we will need to understand the impact of that on our work and on our bylaws. And that already has started. So if I lay these out against the timeline which the community has set, let's be clear here. The community was asked by the US government earlier this year, how long do you need to implement your proposals? And the community picked a date, and the US government extended its contract based on the community's input to the 30th of September 2016. Now, how do we get there? We first have to finish our proposals. Once the proposals are done, we enter into an NTIA review phase, which NTIA had said approximately 5 months, and again, depends on many things, could be shorter, could be longer, but I think that's a reasonable timeline. And then after that, we have to implement what comes out of the proposal. That's the plan. So, alongside this plan, these three areas of work are happening. These three areas of work are led at ICANN by two individuals, Akram Atalla, who's the president of our Global Domains Division, and David Conrad, who is our Chief Technology Officer, seated right there at the front. clear on what we're doing on these three areas. Now, what we'll be doing once the proposal is done, and what we'll be doing at the end. Because there is a very important distinction. Right now, all we can be doing is what I call administrative preparation. Starting to understand where the proposals are, what we will need to do, new people, new systems. All of this is being understood and planned by Akram and David. Then, once the proposal is handed to NTIA, we can do a bit more planning, because now the proposal is finalized, so we know what's in the proposal. And some pre-work, just to make sure we are ready for the real work, which can only start once NTIA has approved and given us the go-ahead on the proposal. So these are the three phases of work. I want to assure you that we are getting ready. We're putting the resources in place. But again, our ability to move forward is very much in your hands. We need the proposals to be completed because we cannot implement without having your final proposal. So we look forward to that work being completed. Let me finish by saying this. This work has not been easy. It's been hard work. I think all of you know that. And along the way, a lot of our energies, a lot of our patience has been tested. We've made mistakes. I know I've made mistakes. But I think what's important here is to stay together, to not forget the core values that we've lived with for many, many years. Let's anchor ourselves in these values and let's finish the work. We're ready. Good luck.